In this lesson, we will determine whether two functions are inverses of each other. Inverse function. Let f be a one-to-one function. Then g is the inverse function of f. If f of g of x equals x for every x in the domain of g, and g of f of x equals x for every x in the domain of f. So simply put, if a function is a one-to-one function, because only one-to-one functions will have an inverse. If it's not one-to-one, then it can't have an inverse. So that's the first requirement, is that the function be a one-to-one. So if it is a one-to-one, and we already told you that a one-to-one is where it passes the horizontal line test if you were to graph it. So if you have that type of function, and this is a composite notation, remember the f of g of x or g of f of x, that's composite. So if you take g and plug it into f and it equals x, and if you plug f inside of g's function and it equals x, then that is proof that these two functions are inverses of each other. So here we're given two functions, both f and g, and asked to determine if they are inverses. So f of x equals x cubed minus 1, and g of x equals the cube root of x plus 1. And we want to determine whether they are inverses of each other. So the first thing I'm going to do is to find f of g of x. In other words, take g and plug it inside of f in x's place. So when I do that, it's going to look like so. So I took f of x's function and removed the x, and I replaced it with g of x's function. So now that we do that, we can go ahead and simplify this. The cube root of x plus 1 raised to the third power, these cube root and cubing it, those two functions are opposites of each other, and they will cancel each other out. So that leaves you with simply x plus 1. And then you also have minus 1. So notice the ones will cancel out because they're opposites of each other. So it does equal x. So we got that. So by definition, if f of g of x equals x, that's good, and it does. Now all we have to do is do the reverse, plug f inside of g, and if it equals x, then we know they are inverse functions. So let's go ahead and do that second step. We're going to take the function f, and we're going to go and plug it inside of g in x's place. When we do that, it's going to look like so. And so now all we need to do is to go ahead and solve underneath the radical symbol. So underneath the radical symbol, notice that the ones are opposite of each other, so that means they're gone, they're canceled out, and all we're left with is x cubed. And the cube root of x cubed is simply x. And there you have it. So by definition again, you can determine whether two functions are inverses if you find f of g of x if it equals x. And then you turn around and find g of f of x if it equals x. So if that happens, that is your proof that both functions are inverses of each other. And there you have it.